we ourselves add to because we are either afraid or we are not of the Constitution to make things right, that in truth we have become our own worst enemies. What we have become is what allows these politicians to deny us representation for 100 years, to impose a central banking system on us. I mean, for crying out loud, we've never even asked for the qualifying arguments for this thing yet. And we're talking about auditing it when we know that's going to be a pack of lies too. And it only can discover what we ought to know because we're the accounting of it. We're the victims. We're taking assessment of it every day. We know that we're paying 5 houses for a house, and the price of the house was multiplied 3 times what it should have been in the first place. And who's getting all this? You know, where's it all going? Well, I know because I'm paying it. Okay, and I also know what the motives are because the only powers of the thing are exploitation. You know, we know all these things. We don't have to find them out. They're obvious in everything around us, you know. So what are we? I'm saying that we have screwed ourselves up so much that we probably will surprise ourselves when we lift off the hood and can see again and realize, holy crap, you know, none of this was necessary. We spent the majority of our own lives for naught because that's all the better we were. Am I afraid to go to the court and give them this little piece of paper? I should laugh in there. I should go in there and do it with joy. I should go down to the sheriffs and have a good time with him, explaining, hey, you guys aren't going to believe what we the people are going to do. How many of us have been in here yet? What do you mean? Oh, I'm the first one? Well, let me tell you about this. You know, we should take this on with joy because what are we doing but freeing ourselves with the least effort? And I mean, what just government in the world would stand against us? I mean, you have anybody stand in the way of this, write down their name.
Yeah, mind you, unfortunately it's the unjust governments that we know damn well are going to stand against it because it's in their interest to oppose it because they're the ones that are getting all the benefit along with all of these.
They can do when we stop paying taxes, when we take them to court, when we quit paying on our mortgages, and the sheriff says, "Yep." And you're not coming and taking their houses from them either. And the judge says, that's right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward because it's something that I've, believe it or not, for the last 2.5 years I've been looking into many different ways of doing it. And I've never felt comfortable with sending the letters, mainly because it's not just me, it's the rest of my family involved as well. So, you know, if there's something, you know, if you've produced something like this, Mike, you know, I'll be looking at it, I'll be doing it, and I'll be sending it on to a number of friends that I have who will be doing it as well.
Right. What we can do, you know, people, the first one is timid. I've already done something which is actually on a more magnificent scale than this, and the system, and this was many years ago in our bicentennial year, actually 1976, the system demonstrated to me that it was utterly fearful of my challenge to it, which was on the very same basis of this thesis of inevitable failure and singular solution, something I've spoke about since I was 16 years old. You know, now I went to I prevailed in a very adverse place, and yet it was only my mastery of the arguments which allowed me to prevail. I mean, for hours and hours, we had legal consultants shuffling back and forth, trying to find answers, unable to dig up anything of even the most minute hope of leverage to prevail against me. They were dead in the water. Now, the thing is, I've spent over 40 years, and a person that can prove the Pythagorean theorem off the top of their head isn't something that someone that you would, a smart person would generally argue with over a simple, elementary, fundamental math problem, which is all that this obfuscation of the currency and mathematically perfected economy are. A simple word problem that a second or third grader should be able to give you the right answer on. Now, if we're afraid to do this, where do we get our courage? We get our courage from reading this one article that'll be on the news site over again. And you're going to see the second time you read it, by God, it's absolutely right. No one could challenge this and prevail. It's absolutely right. You read it a third time. By the fourth or fifth time you've read it, and by God, what are you talking about doing? Reading something for a half an hour, that 5 times over, 2.5 hours, which eliminates 4.5 of the houses that you're paying for one house.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Over the course of your lifetime. I mean, think about that. It's preposterous for anyone not to realize how important it is to manage that. But say you read it 5 times, and you know this thing is right. Mathematically perfected economy. You have complete faith that the world will inevitably do this, and if I know anything, I know that. I can tell you that. It will happen. But, so, you think, but if I go down there, I'm going to be the only one. So what do? You like you said, call a few friends, and no, there's 100 of us. Let's all go down together and do it at the same time. Everyone. Town of 10,000 people, everybody does it over the course of 2 months. Whatever. They go to the sheriff, they go to the DA, they go to the court, and they go to their bank, and they write that little piece of paper out. We'll pay to the bearer on demand, infinity. Ha, ha, ha. Same thing you gave me, now you got it back. You're paid in full, Bubba. You challenge it in court. See you there.
Yeah. No, I mean, the whole idea of it just sounds excellent. Sounds like it's an extremely good plan, and I'm looking forward to seeing it implemented, and I'm looking forward to reading it. And I hope there's a lot of a lot of listeners out there too that will be doing the same thing. Yeah.
Well, we'll find out, and if they don't, well, I still, attest that this isn't just about daydreaming. There's a lot of people who've asked me to run for political office, and more every day. I mean, I explain these things to people, and they're adamant about it, but
you're just entering their system, though, Mike, aren't you? I mean, that's people have had this discussion, with me and my son as well already over this. Well, let's go and run for office. Well, you are just one little cog in that big wheel, and you're not going to do anything because you can't change that system.
Well, I would dispute that in my case, because if I took the oath of office, the first thing that would come out of my pocket would be a piece of paper and a pen, and I would write on that piece of paper, "Will pay to the bearer on demand, infinity," and I would sign my name to it. And that would be that. We'd be going to court from the highest office in the land. And that's the way it would be if I were president, because there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All I've done actually is implement what I would have done if I would have been elected president, as every person of the country.
Yeah.
That's what this mandate is, you know. And I don't really want to be president. It would be I would be begrudged to do so only at the behest of the people who would want someone who understood solution to at least administer to it, to guide it into the shape it had to be. But in truth, my real belief is that the people have to ascend to that capability themselves, because we are actually the first and final bastions of representation, and if we don't understand what represents us, it's lost. And that's why all this has happened. I don't see any way that the Federal Reserve Act ever would have been passed amidst an apprehended people. It just couldn't happen, especially in betrayal of the 1912 elections, in which the Democrat Party platform promised not to create a central bank. Can't happen.
Yeah, and then that was the very next thing they did. Woodrow Wilson, I know.
Yeah, and if you start out that bad 100 years ago, and you build upon that generation after generation after generation, more dedicated to apathy than rectitude, sorry, you laid down and made yourself the street for them to roll over, and I mean, people get pissed off sometimes when we explain these things to them, and they say, "Well, God, we ought to hang every one of the bastards, chop their heads off like in the French Revolution." I can't help but thinking immediately every time I hear that, I think, what about yourself then?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they're the crooks, but you would have been a crook if you could have been, wouldn't you? Did you know this was wrong? Is it but by experiencing the brunt of it that you've learned? And what have you learned yet? Here you are. We explain this. You need to you agree that we determined that exactly what you have, and now the very next day the guy goes out and he publishes a petition on Petitions Online or someplace like that money can't be a debt. I mean, we're our worst enemy by far. I mean, if we're that inept, what do you expect from your congressional representatives? It's no wonder. I don't know if you've seen it, but we had a congressman who actually he later said he was joking, but it certainly didn't appear to be in a joking way, and nobody thought it was funny. But he was actually postulating that if we built some, further facilities, military facilities on Guam, that the island might capsize. And this is this is in the halls of government. I mean, if this was postulated to me, and it was in a testimony, a hearing over the propriety of all this, there is no way that I would have answered that question politely. No way in the world. I mean, what a farce. But that is what's going on in government. But it isn't just neglect, because, if there was a good bone in any of these people, you would think, I could send my email to, whoever, our Vice President, Joe Biden, when he was, in Congress, or Barack Obama, or Hillary Clinton, or Barney Frank, I've written all of them numerous times. And not a word. Now, how can that be? not